now we are into media. And here we're going to discuss storytelling for sustainability. And we're going to focus on harnessing media and technology to drive awareness and change. To do great justice to this topic, we have Rachel Meuleman. She's the founder of Bizz Academy and also recognized as a global top 200 women power leader or power leaders in the world. Welcome, Rachel. Yes, you're on mute. If you can quickly unmute yourself, then we can hear you.
Hi, I'm live. You can hear me from Dubai, right?
Yes. Great. Welcome,
Great,
Rachel.
nice to see you. Thank you so much for inviting me here.
Yeah, thank you. And next we have Mr. Kamri Apollo. He's a media consultant and also the CEO of Westbrooke and Marsh. He's also the general manager of Radio Now 95.3 FM in Lagos. Welcome, Kamri.
Hello, Bello. Hello, Rachel. Good to be here, everyone.
Yes, thank you very much. Glad to be here with you. So just as usual, we're going to go into 20 minutes of the panel discussion with the questions that I have, about 5 of them. And then we're going to give the last 10 minutes for audience to ask their own questions with regards to media. And when we say media, we not just mean traditional media, but also digital media space. So I'll quickly go into the question now without wasting much time. The first thing I want to know is we talk about media storytelling, but for you, how can storytellers effectively harness the power of narratives, for example, to inform, to educate, and also to inspire actionable change and impact? I'll start with Rachel. For you, what's from your own experience, how can this really be achieved?
So I absolutely love media, and I think it's given us an opportunity to touch people emotionally. There is no doubt whether we have 5 senses, and this empowers us to connect to each other, connect to the world, to connect to our possibilities, to connect to our futures. And so this media platform is about this emotional connection and using images and sound to really evoke these emotions and really make the most out of these communication channels, because it's not about just selling products and services anymore. It's about connecting to the audience and evoking emotion. And there is no other medium besides, like, look at us now, we're on video. We can see each other, we can hear each other, and we can really connect and make relatable experiences and be consumed by this human experience that we're all living today on the planet. And so it's a great way to just elevate that connectivity to such another level, right?
Yeah, very informative and straight to the point, Rachel. And I think one question for you, Kamri, I know with all of your experience, not just, as I said, in the traditional media space, but also now in digital media, storytelling being effective, or media basically being effective to inform, inspire, and also educate people for actionable change.
Absolutely. Media, especially in developing countries, is a very important tool if you want to affect the lives of the people. Most importantly, my attraction, what actually drew me to media, it's the power to educate. There's a general belief, there's a general logic that a better informed people tends to make better decisions. If you look at developing countries, information management compounds education. We operate a democracy, for example, yet people ask the question, are we better off now than we were during the military time when we're told what to do and this, that, the other? The short answer is basically a democracy is always going to be the best form of government because it involves the participation of the beneficiaries of any goods, policies, and so on and so forth. So the question then follows, why then are we lagging behind, especially in developing countries, Africa, Nigeria, to be more specific? I think information, education plays a significant role. If we are to realize the full benefits, the full potentials, or a fuller, potential of democracy, then we need to collectively raise the intellectual capacity of the country, to a certain level where we can attain a critical mass where you have people who are better informed participating in governance, and then you'll start to see the effect of it. Because right now there's a lot of frustration and so on and so forth. People believe if I go to the polls and I elect someone, I've done my bit as a citizen, milk and honey should flow thereafter. But that's not how it works. We have different things negating against what a democracy is. For example, look at our traditional practices. I live and work in the southwestern part of the country, arguably the most intellectually advanced part of the country. And I come from the least developed part of the country, which is the northeast. So I'm able to draw, a stark contrast between both societies and communities. And I'll tell you this, even in the southeast, the most intellectually advanced one, the frustration is rife because, again, people do not understand. Take, for example, some of our cultural practices. The name, I don't know if there are any people from the Southwest here, just to use this example, the name Kabiesi is given to a traditional title holder, a chief of sorts, if you will. If you translate it literally, it means he who is not to be questioned. So things like this sort of negate the concept of holding public officials to account in a democracy, where you are expected to ask people who you have chosen, given the opportunity to serve the rest of us. You're expected to ask them questions. Oi, what are you doing? When you came out to campaign, you said you would do this, that, the other, but you're doing something else. What's going on? So these are some of the things that negate against us actually benefiting from the full impact of a democracy. So with media, just like Rachel has said, we have the power to emotionally connect with people in different levels, social media, traditional media, and through storytelling, you can affect and cause people to broaden their perspectives, to educate them, to open up their eyes without telling them what to do, but show them there's choice and there's consequence.
Yeah, I think this is a very good and interesting views from both of you. For Rachel, it was about emotional connection and communication. For you, it was more about the democracy and politics side of things that you see is in terms of what the power of media is. And I want to go into in both of them also. I think we can give examples. When it comes to storytelling, for example, just using the media, how do you see the digital media or modern media versus the traditional media? Which do you think, or even to be more specific, in terms of the most effective storytelling tool, initiatives, solutions to diverse demographics? And also, I don't know, why do you think what you think in terms of the choice between the two? So Rachel first.
So I think, since TV evolved, we have been addicted to the screen, and now it's getting even more complex. The younger generation is jumping on this. And so when you ask about traditional media, television is a one-way direction. I mean, we're sitting on a Zoom link right now with people communicating at the same time. So the social media aspect of it and the technology has transformed into a two-way communication. And brands have all of a sudden, from having a screen where they can actually tell a story to then going on to another screen and people can communicate with that story, brands are now in a position where they're not the only storyteller. They have to tap into the power of their users or community, what people are saying, and really be customer centric to help guide that journey so that that perception and that experience that people are getting from that media. So the media itself actually has different ideas and concepts and has different communication with not only demographics of individuals, because television is going to be targeted for older people that may not be on the screens. And then on the actual digital devices, the different platforms have different demographic segments, right? And how they communicate. And so there's such this variety of interactivity now that has become at the forefront of that storytelling. And it really depends on a number of components, but for anyone to have a fully 360 encompassing like a political agenda where they're trying to achieve everyone that's over a certain age to make sure that they get a message across, they have to engage with all the different media options. There is no other option. And this is besides stuff like outdoor entertainment or outdoor branding, or, you know, just brand awareness or field marketing, where events become a big initiation to create and evoke these emotions, to really connect people to the messaging that's out there. And so when it comes to just a flat screen or a digital media two-way conversation, this is really where they have to, any brand needs to consider who they're targeting in order to prioritize and strategize more effectively to get the right results.
Yeah, yeah, and I think this is very interesting. Something, as you were just speaking, something crossed my mind. I don't want to get political, but the use of that traditional and social or digital media in terms of how it impacted the just concluded US elections. I think there's a lot to say also.
Oh boy, we can get crazy over here.
Mr. Kamri, so for you the same question.
There's no doubt, you know.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
credibility becomes a big question for the accuser, right? What do they trust more?
Yes, exactly.
Hello.
And it's the same for you, Mr. Kamri, also, in terms of which is the best, traditional or digital media, to tell the best stories and impact an audience. And
Hello. Can I speak? Please.
Sorry, yeah. There's a moment where audience can participate in just the last 10 minutes. So if you can.
Skibidi Toilet will be mine. Ohio is.
Sorry, we're gonna just mute quickly. Thank you. Sorry, apologies for that.
Okay, so as not to go over again what Rachel said, she's literally hit the nail on the head. So I think I should focus. I do agree with her. It depends on your target audience, the target messaging, different tools for different jobs and different tasks. I think that's how it works with media. But just to further expatiate some of these platforms for the uninformed, people who may have an interest in getting into media, I'll just quickly whip through a couple of them. Traditional media, let's just look at television, radio, and print media. Television, the advantage with television is that it can reach both literate and illiterate audiences. So they have an ability to access information, through television. That's the good thing with television. You don't need an internet connection with television in remote areas and so on and so forth. So tech is pretty much on the low scale, just like radio is. Radio and TV share the same thing. Radio can connect with people, but radio is a bit more interactive than television. So you could drive, opinion-driven or debate sort of conversations to engage people and, hash out ideas. That's what you get from radio and TV. Print media, on the other hand, contrary to what the young generation believe, it's still important. Okay. I don't believe anything in life is totally rendered obsolete. Take, for example, the two-way radio, walkie-talkies. You've got phones with 5G technology, but Motorola and its two-way radios, they're still selling and making a brisk business because it's still going to be relevant. Same thing with communications and information management. Now, with print media, it generally appeals to people who have no access to any sort of electronic broadcast technology. At least they're able to access information that's been written down. It also still appeals to policymakers because they understand the ability to drive out messaging through strong, powerful photography and stories and narratives on their pages. So those are traditional media. Excuse me. Coming to digital media, social media, well, that's it. That's the disruptive one, isn't it? The different platforms, Instagram, TikTok, X, formerly called Twitter, and so on and so forth. The advantage with these is that they target and they reach a young demographic, and they've been able to compress information. And because the young generation, the way they consume information, it's much different from 30 years ago. They haven't got time to spend 10 minutes on one particular thing, so they're constantly on the move. So these social media platforms offer compressed information that are quickly disseminated. And here's the thing with digital media. Digital media also leverages on algorithms. So organizations, governments, and so on and so forth that are able to key into these algorithms are able to channel them, further direct their information targeting. And also with digital media, there's a very strong interactive element. You could poll your audience. You've put up a couple of forms asking us questions. That's interactions. You're polling, you're gathering information. So you get all of this with digital media. And then, of course, still under digital media, you've got streaming platforms like Netflix and YouTube and so on and so forth. These are very powerful tools for documentaries. I don't know if you remember Sex for Grades. By way of talking about impactful storytelling, it was a BBC story that was done. So the impact of this story was that it has elicited a lot of change in girls who were being exploited in tertiary institutions in Nigeria and both Ghana, both institutions that were covered during the documentary, sanctioned some lecturers. It has even led to legislation here in Nigeria. So these are all examples of impactful storytelling. So this again is under digital, YouTube and Netflix. Podcasts is also another important one. Podcasts require very, very minimum bandwidth. They're very, very accessible. You could consume them in your own time. They provide a very ready, available avenue to put out information. They're not interactive. They tend to be informative. Again, this is just a quick rundown through traditional and digital media and their differences and their strengths. So just like Rachel says, it depends on your target audience and what your messaging is. You will find the tool that is best suited to deliver your message and get feedback from your target audience. Bello?
Yeah, definitely. I think with everything, even when in person, I think it's just all about the audience, basically. I think what I'm getting from both of you now, but also, as you've said, part of the important aspect of this is that you can also analyze that audience and what you get out of whatever that you put out. Based on that, I want to now pivot into some of the practical examples of maybe those new innovations in the digital media space, especially. So things like virtual reality, augmented reality, AI, and whatever it does now. How have you seen all of these different tools or avenues to transform audience engagement, but also just getting the best out of what you expect in the media space with your audience? So connecting, response, audience engagement, all of that, communication. How have those tools, VR, AR, AI also, how have they been used basically from your experience?
It's incredible time to be alive. I mean, every time another platform comes out with an AI tool, I'm testing it. I'm trying it. We have the capabilities. If you got internet, you better be checking out what's happening because it's moving so fast, right? So the virtual reality and the gaming space, that's just one part of it. That's a full 360 encompassed experience where you feel part of that story, right? And brands are actually being able to use that, and people are just, it's almost like they just go into another universe. They lose themselves into this other universe, and that's the capability of it, the power of that media channel, right? When it comes to AI, I feel like it's part of the other part of it, which is they're amalgamating all the user's experience and all the content that's out there, and they're pulling from all these sources of how people are using technologies and being able to provide solutions or suggestions. So it's very in tune with like the masses. Right. And I think, and just the option. So now every human's brain is available on some of these platforms and some of these devices and some of these softwares that are just utilizing this to multiply the creative aspect of it and be able to optimize what the tools are actually there to do and create to really drive results, which, I mean, no doubt. I just taught I have kids that are 6 and 8 years old. I had them on ChatGPT the other day playing with the image generator, and I just was using it to let them create. I said, come on, let's create a story. And I said, where do you want to create? And they're really excited about candy right now. So candy, started with candy. And do you want the city or do you want a forest? And then we went into a city. And what things should have candy? Should we have animals? And I just with this, and all of a sudden, boom. And they were like, wow, how did that happen? So it is blowing everyone's mind. I can't even imagine what's going to happen when they're our age and our generation. And basically how the technology is speeding so fast. I mean, we're already so involved emotionally with this technology. it's really hard to conceptualize what's going to happen in the future around it. But I do encourage everyone listening, every entrepreneur that has a business, that they need to have this technology as a foundation of how their business connects to their customers, right? No matter who their customers are, and understanding that what's available, because there's quite a lot out there. It could be easy to get lost in the options, but really finding out what appeals to you, what appeals to your audience, where they're being found, and how you can connect to them more efficiently, because that's going to be the winning game. That's going to be the winning game piece as our youth of today is, continues to get shorter attention spans. We're going to have to figure out how we're going to gamify their world, from the real life experience, and really incorporate brands and products and services in order to keep and captivate their attention. That's going to be the true challenge.
Yeah, it's almost like as much as it's scary, you are also curious and excited about what's happening. And I think that balance needs to be, we don't know where it's going to head to, as you said, even especially with the kids or younger people now, they can do so much more than what we see or what we are imagining for ourselves. And I think maybe for you, Kamri, also the use of these other innovations like AI, augmented reality, virtual reality, especially in the media space also, what people are able to create, like what Rachel just said earlier. For you, what have you seen in terms of how best they can be used and maybe advantages and etc. basically? I think you're on mute. Yeah, you can unmute yourself, Kamri, or admin if you can unmute him. Apologies for that. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, admin. All right. Well, these emerging technologies, they're a fantastic thing. It's a whole new world. In our newsroom, one of our core principles is self-development. So myself and the editor-in-chief, that's my boss, Kadria Ahmed, we're very, very much interested in embracing these new technologies. In the last session you held, I think there was a comment about AI coming to take over people's jobs. No, that's not it. The world is changing. Humankind, I beg your pardon, we exist in a constant state of dynamism. And I think it's everybody's responsibility to try to meet up with these changes so that you're not redundant. The way we do things, the way we go about our lives, we are constantly changing and evolving. The way I'm acting today is different from what my forebears did 50, 100 years ago. So there's a need to change and meet up. So AI has given not just AI, these emerging technologies, they are different, aren't they? And they've given us an opportunity to literally bring people into the heart of storytelling. Augmented reality, virtual reality, AI, they give us that opportunity. And they're all different in their own way. Virtual reality, for example, we haven't seen so much of that here in our neck of the woods due to certain factors, cost, and so on and so forth, which we can go on and list. The main difference, again, just to explain for the uninformed, virtual reality literally gives you a first-hand experience of the story. So it really immerses the audience inside of the story, whereas augmented reality it sort of overlays this beautiful world over a real world. Take, for example, I don't know what best to describe it. I remember the Pokemon craze that went on, abroad, where people went around looking for Pokemons. They're not actually there, but you see them on your phone when you turn it on and you scan around with your phone. It's sort of again, overlays this virtual world on the real world. So it's a bit different from virtual reality, which puts you using the right proper headgear and so on and so forth inside of the story. So these are powerful, amazing things. One of our sister stations, well, not sister stations, one company we tend to collaborate a lot with in our storytelling as a newsroom is Human Angle. Human Angle is doing fantastic work in bringing some of the stories from northeastern Nigeria. They cover a lot of the conflicts, the extended Boko Haram crisis that has gone on there, the fallout, climate change, Lake Chad shrinking, conflict, and all the problems there. So they're finding new ways using technology. Again, it's very expensive to immerse people in the story. It's different if you read about somebody's story and what happened to their family when the bandits came in and did this, that, the other. It's one thing for you to read about it. It's yet another thing for you to put on the right equipment and take a walk through their village that has been devastated. And, you see the destruction there, and it really puts you right in there. So there is, again, back to what Rachel pointed out, there's a very strong emotional connection with emerging technologies because it puts you right inside the heart of storytelling. With personalization, that's where AI comes in. Rachel, just like your kids, I'm currently having a great time exploring with AI. There's so many tools available. We are a news and current affairs station, but we cover everything else as well as we are expected to. Take, for example, there's a huge challenge in Nigeria. There's a lot of information and data that we like to collect. Right now, we have a government that is talking to us about the state of the economy, saying things are getting better, but people on the streets are saying, hey, I'm scared. I haven't got any money in my pocket, nothing in my kitchens and this, that, the other. So there's a real need to take this data, which is actually happening, and then interpret it in such a way that the everyday Nigerian can understand and, most importantly, see where they fit in. Somebody who repairs bicycles is not bothered about your gross domestic product. That's a national big figure talking over their heads. But with AI, what we're able to do, using the right tools, we're able to aggregate all this information, put it through the tool, and the tool generates content and storylines based on the data and information. And then we are able to tweak it further and then present it in such a manner that the everyday Nigerian can, engage with. So again, these emerging technologies, they are very powerful tools. And I urge everyone, you don't have to be a media person. Look, it's fun. It's fun. Okay, you can never learn too much. Just go out there. There are no wrong answers. There are no mistakes. Learn, learn, learn. It is the future, and it's here.
Absolutely.
Yes, exactly. And I think, as you said, everybody is actually a working media. There's a question in the chat box, and I'll connect the two questions together and comment. I know Robert, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce the surname, Bukaru. He mentioned that he's a 9-year-old, and he's talking about how important social digital media like TikTok is, which of course he has used it to learn about different things like maybe financial intelligence, financial literacy, and things like that through TikTok. And as we've seen, most of the audience on digital media are very young people now. So I want to connect what he said, his comments, to a question by Fatima, which is that this audience that we're looking for, or that general companies are looking for, which is the young generation, just like Robert using TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and all of those platforms. They are not regulated. And part of government's concern is in terms of fake news and stuff like that. However, the dilemma is that the audience that we're looking for are using those platforms like what Robert mentioned, TikTok and the rest. So how do we balance it? Regulation versus free speech, as they call it, and also making sure that the right information is actually used by these, the right information is put out by these platforms that we have in the digital media space or social media space. So Rachel, first.
Yeah. It is not an easy question to answer. I think the technology has moved so fast that we have, as a collective community, have been we're running after it. We're trying to catch up to it. And so in humanity, we're always the reality is we respond reactively rather than proactively. And some of these platforms, and there are a lot of them, are putting out a lot of stuff that is false. And so the idea of credibility and trust is really put to question. And unfortunately, when you are young, right, your brain is still developing. The real world isn't even a reality as of yet until you understand how to connect with what's really happening in adult life. And so I absolutely love the idea that Australia, there's a personal thing, has created some kind of limitation on this, because the reality is seeing what's happening to the youth and the effect of these platforms being unregulated. And that's not just from a platform standpoint, that's also from a parent standpoint, because I think both of them should have responsibility, is actually quite scary. Is probably the scariest part of all of this technology is what's happening to our youth of today. They're very malleable, and there is so much information out there that can do a lot of harm. So there is one part of it that says, yes, it's spectacular. We have information and we have access to that information like never before. It is incredibly informative. If there is some adult responsible party to help mediate that information coming to a child. And that's where it gets potentially really difficult, because the channels haven't taken the responsibility. So now the governments are stepping in and saying, hey, we got a big problem. This is causing more harm than positive. And we need to make sure that this decreases some of the long-term effects like ADHD that's been skyrocketing, to kids' attention deficit, and basically that they could even focus on things because of the swiping. And it's just happening younger and younger and younger, because it's a great break for anyone who's a parent knows they need a break. So it's an easy break. However, the long-term effects are really damaging. And so the information by far is incredible, but we still are at a place where how do we validate what is real, what's not? And now with AI, I've tried platforms that I could put my face there, I could put my voice there and not even be there. Now that is scary. And as that continues to not be regulated, we don't know how that's going to impact the future of tomorrow. So it's a great discussion. I think more people should be having it. I love that you asked this question. Thank you so much, because there are positives, there are negatives. This is the way of our world. And now we're seeing that first, the leadership of a government really make a decision to really impact younger kids under the age of 13. And so I agree with it 110%. I can't wait to see what other businesses jump on, our businesses and governments and even education segments get on board for the younger generations. You have the rest of your life to be on a screen, so let's make sure that information helps you, support you positively and not negatively.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rachel. And we're running out of time. So just in 1 minute, Mr. Kamri, so that we don't go too much into the next panel, same question for you. Balancing fake news and all of that while trying to still grab that demographic of young people like Robert, who is 9 years old, and etc.
Okay, well, it's great to have a 9-year-old, participating in things like this. Thank you so much, Robert Buckaroo. Nice to have you on. Look, it is a tricky one, okay? My industry, for example, news media, one of the founding principles is the rights to freedom of speech and freedom of expression. So you don't want to infringe on that, but yet you want to protect, minds that are still forming, much like a Robert's. So for me, it's going to, be down to governments and countries to choose what best works for them. They've got their national development plans and so on and so forth. But while they go about making their decisions, freedom of expression is very, very important. Look, some of us are going to be naughty. We need to be convinced that it's not, in anyone's best interest to be naughty, but to simply, come and take away the right to be naughty. I think you're now trifling with very serious issues. For me, the answer is always going to lie in education. The more educated, the more enlightened people are about things they do, the more they'll be aware of consequences and so on and so forth. You'll start to see many people turn away from some of these harmful practices simply because they aren't fully aware of certain consequences. It won't eradicate everything in humanity. Nothing is absolute. But I think the best weapon against fake news and so on and so forth is the right news, the right sort of information. Get it out there. It's a constant battle, but we can't just shut down something on the basis of, hey, this is dangerous, because somebody has expressed that. You're trifling with very tricky areas now. Again, for me, the best way to combat fake news is the right news. Get it out there, and it's an ongoing battle. Just keep at it, keep at it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kamri. And I think on that note, the conversation has ended here, but it can continue beyond here also. All of your details on LinkedIn has been shared now in the chat box. Thank you, Rachel. Rachel is the founder of Bizz Academy, based in Dubai, I believe, at the moment, and also one of the global top 200 women power leaders. And then Mr. Kamri is the CEO and education consultant, but CEO of Westbrooke and Marsh. He's also the general manager of Radio Now 95.3 in Lagos, Nigeria. thank you very much for both of you, and much appreciated. Of course, she is the founder of the Global Sustainable Futures Network, as well as many other things she does around the world, from the UK, Asia, and all around. Welcome, Dr. Renuka. I think you're on mute.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, very
Yes,
clear.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have Dr. Emeka Ezekwesili Nnam. He is representing the Director General of Abuja Chambers of Commerce and Industry. He himself is the director of the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and I think he's just about to join. I think admin liaising with him now. He's just about to join, but we will proceed, I think, before as he's logging in now. And I will give him a chance to also quickly say hello and introduce himself. So we have just about 3, 4, maybe 5 questions on this panel. And as I said, for all the audience and for each and every one of us, we look at enterprise not just from the perspective or from the angle of an employee, but also from the employer or the owner of the enterprise. And for us, every enterprise, whether it's a profit-making or private or non-profit or even a public enterprise, there are key things that they have to focus on. And for us today is about sustainability and digital innovation in enterprise. And so based on that, we are going to tackle these questions. And as I said, of course, gradually for the audience also, you can be sending your questions in the chat box. So Dr. Renuka, I think let's maybe begin with you as Mr. Emeka Ezekwesili is joining in a little bit. So I think if you can, maybe this one is a heavy question. So let's maybe start with a bang. So if you can tell us about the multi-level and multi-dimensional integrated framing of sustainable development. I know that, of course, COP29 just ended and it's all about sustainability, and that's usually the theme. Even with the UN General Assembly, it's always about sustainability. But I want to know here, or we want to know here specifically, how can organizations and individuals adopt systemed thinking and transdisciplinary way of thinking in order to bring technologies together based on emerging data, trends, skills, and all of those other complex global challenges that need to be at the forefront of every enterprise. So based on your own experience and everything that you do in research and etc., basically.
Thank you so much. And when you mention about enterprise, enterprise is something like, and you mentioned very rightly that it is not about any employee or any business, or it applies to everyone, like an individual and all type of businesses, and how you look at it, how you make it. And even if it is not related to what you say, economic profit only, it is related to how you make an impact to the society. And that is how I look as an enterprise. And with enterprise, I think engineering word is so much associated. And nowadays we use the word like engineering into not only the physical or like a motivative engineering or something, mechanical engineering, but it is used in social engineering, environmental engineering, and many other ways. So you rightly mentioned that we have to incorporate the principles of enterprise and then associate with sustainability and digital innovation in all our activities, whether it is, school, education, or whatever the sector it might be. So, and I was listening to the previous speakers as well, that they have also been very good in integrating digital innovation and sustainability. So, and I was highly impressed by their views as well, and what the impact they are doing through their activities. So, yeah, especially with sustainability principles, it is very important that we go beyond our just day-to-day, like energy saving and so on. Now we are mainly aware of energy saving or resource saving, but we need to go beyond that, and we need to bring in circular economy in our action, whether it is, individual activity or business activity or anything. What we think, there should be no waste, or if there is a waste, it needs to be considered as resource to another enterprise, or in a way that we have to bring circularity in our, enterprises. Second, with the innovation, it is mainly important that, all companies will have to apply advanced analytics. And I think a very good example of doing statistic with the ChatGPT was mentioned in the previous thing. So that is an example. But however, smart IoT, Internet of Things, then these all statistics or digital innovation can be used how we decrease the environmental impact, but also how we visualize this impact in long term, medium term, short term, and then apply those tools into virtual reality for models. And then we can visualize, and it allows all the stakeholders sitting on the same table to take the decision at the same time. Let me give you an example of real life, real world example of Lesotho. Lesotho country has planned for 4 dams in next 50 years, and 2 dams are already done, 2 are in planning. And within just 20 years of this project, they have realized that there is detrimental environmental destruction due to this dam. Initially, it was thought that this dam would bring a lot of prosperity to people. However, if we don't have the local prosperity of environmental prosperity, ecological capital is ruined, the local people are disturbed. They are already displaced and they are disturbed due to this impact. And so what will that income do? And as soon as this environmental ecology is destroyed, they will also lose the income coming in. And so if this, now they have started stakeholder engagement, but they are still doing in physical way. They are bringing all the stakeholder on the table. They are having discussion. However, you still can't visualize. And so I think digital innovation, what it does, it gives you analytics, and it also gives you the multiple observations. So, for example, if one of them decides that, okay, from today, if I implant 100 trees, then what will be the effect of 100 trees in such and such years? That is hard to visualize without AI at the moment. And this would be very easy when we do that. So I will stop here. I'm just giving you the snapshot of what we can do within this integration of sustainability and digital innovation in this area. But however, you can put plenty of other things into enterprise. We'll continue the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think, yeah, the key point is in terms of analytics. and also just generally how the use of whatever you're doing as an enterprise, of course, affecting the environment around you. And I think Mr. Emeka Ezekwesili Nnam has joined from the Abuja, director from the Abuja Chambers of Commerce. So, sir, welcome.
Yes, hello, Dr. Renuka.
Hello.
Thank you, Bello. I think I got the wrong link, but your admin has been able to set me up. It's nice to be here. I listened in when Dr. Renuka was talking. I know you have questions, but let me just respond to one of the things she said. So you see, the issue of analytics is a very big issue, and we continue to deal with it. I'll give you an example. Take, for instance, when we do our international trade fairs, in the past, you have media budget hugely based on traditional media, that is radio, television, and of course the newspapers. On paper, it looks big. It looks like you're doing something. But then post-fair, you would like to see which of the media inputs performed, how did they perform, so that you can plan and say, where can we supersize and what can we reduce? The analytics are essentially zero. But in the past year, we have put a lot more effort on social media. Instantly, you're able to see how many people got interested in Lagos. This is what the Indian market is looking like. These are the Chinese. Then you look at the demographics. Okay, young people are interested in the particular post that you made. You know, so you cannot move too far if you're not able to digest analytics and use them to plan for the future. So I just wanted to say that when she mentioned the issue of planting trees and AI. So yes, let me not get ahead of myself.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Mr. Ezekwesili. Actually, I even wanted to throw in a little also different type of question also, if you don't mind, while you're on this, which is in terms of strategic approaches for you. I mean, ACCI, I know, of course, you hold so many organizations, companies, businesses, as well as partnerships with governments, non-profit, and so many other things that you do. But for you, from the experience of the organization ACCI, what strategic approaches and framework do you think can businesses adopt to drive this type of digital transformation that we're talking about, especially to drive trade and also not just within a location, but also across borders?
Yeah, so I think it's very simple in the fact that all you need to do is study and go back and see what has happened in the past, and then use that to do strategic foresighting. Let me give you an example. First of all, the whole idea of sustainability is just to ensure that today's people don't take actions that can hamper the growth and development of tomorrow's people. And then you can also synthesize that to mean today's businesses not doing things that can truncate the development of tomorrow's businesses. So we were in China a couple of months ago, and we went to this exhibition, supposed to be an exhibition of electronics, television. We went to the television side, essentially. And then the Chinese man or the sales rep was talking about something called the TV killer.
Okay.
And that caught my interest. What is the TV killer? So the TV killer essentially is a smart projector that has the Netflixes and all what you would have in this oversized, annoying televisions of today in a small box. So what do you think that means for you if your business is importation of electronics from India, China, or the US or Japan into Nigeria? It means that you can save some money, because the amount of space you needed to store 100 units of a television, you can use it now to store 2,000 units of the TV killer, which is the next TV, essentially. So first of all, it is strategic foresighting. You have to be able to ask yourself, besides the impact of government policies and environmental issues, you have to, as a business, have a strategic foresighting process to say what we are doing now, what is the relevance of what we're doing in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years. And this is beyond your core business practices. It will go down to your values. It will go down to the root of your business. For a lot of businesses, you may just have to pivot and divest, because there are businesses today that are totally irrelevant in 5 years. So the call for me, and which we share with our members a lot of times, is that you must be able to use strategic foresighting to be able to say, if we're not going to be relevant in the next 5 years, how can we pivot early? How can we begin to hire early? How can we begin to change organizational processes early so that we are not shocked or surprised by what a lot of people have called creative destruction? So while you're building up spaces, buying warehouses to store more televisions, somewhere in Japan and in the US and in China, the technology has destroyed everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so essentially, it is to have a very good knowledge. We also have a cousin of mine who was very big, in the business of distribution of music with CD plates. They spent 400 million and built a CD manufacturing plant, not knowing that the digital share was upon us. Today, that quote and unquote CD manufacturing plant is just a storage space. So why you have to deal with the issues of what affects everybody, like the COVIDs of this world or government policies, a lot has to do with your position as a business. You must understand, you must be able to say, where are we in 5 years? Where are we? Which is the whole essence of environmental sustainability, because like the issue of dam that Dr. Renuka highlighted with the Lesotho, it's all about saying what we're doing, where we're going, is it relevant? Even if it is relevant, is it sustainable? Even if it is, pseudo-sustainable, can we really achieve the goals we set out to achieve if we carry on this way? So that is just what it is first.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. And I think I definitely see that it's not just also about environmental sustainability, but it's also business sustainability.
Absolutely.
As you said, disruptions in digital innovation and things like that. For Dr. Renuka, you mentioned earlier about, of course, using data. I know statistics is very important in terms of measurement and evaluation. So for you, what have you seen in terms of, I know there are many metrics, but what are some of the key metrics and KPIs that organizations or businesses can use to track and report their...
One second, please.
Yeah.
Yes, please go on.
Yes. So I'm trying to know from your experience, out of all the different metrics and KPIs, what are some of the key KPIs and metrics that can be used by organizations, businesses, enterprises to track and report those progress and success as far as sustainability and digital innovation initiatives is concerned?
Yeah. Just before I move forward, I would like to just add one thing what Professor mentioned here. Certainly, all is very important that your foresight should be looking at all the values. But one thing again, what is the purpose? Purpose is very important here in sustainability. That what are you trying to achieve in terms of your purpose, that whether you want to impact society, whom you want to impact, and that is very important. So yeah, so next you mentioned about what KPIs can be used. Of course, there are plenty of KPIs related to profitability and now environmental as well. We are very aware of those environmental KPIs as well, like whether we are resourceful or, not wasting waste and so on. Profit is very common with everyone, that of course we need to have profit, because if there is no economic activity, no one is interested, but also we will not be able to survive. So that is the most, but at the same time we have this environmental. At the same time, I think we have now also been aware of social indicators, such as how we are impacting the community, how we are engaging with the community, how we are dealing with our employees. Are they, are we supporting their career development? Are we providing their workforce and so on? And then we have, again, innovation, governance activity, ESG. So G is governance activities. So who are at our high level, decision-making team? Are we inviting, some of the stakeholders in, not some, or I would say all, in a sense of like labor union and community stakeholders and so on? Are we engaging with them? And then innovation. Now, innovation is also part of our KPI in saying that how fast, and that those indicators are well said by the professor here, that how fast, how relevant, how more, and how impactful we are doing, so that we don't hamper the future generations any their share, but also we go increase our this what you say, our the destruction which we have already done. We have to come back to that, with the net zero and other things which are going on. So I think profitability and innovation are really good. But again, what I am thinking in a very very layman type of thinking, still we are in a stage where if we buy one plastic box, we are still in a supply and demand thinking, that if we sell one plastic box, we get an information that, okay, we are able to sell one plastic box, means there is a demand for plastic boxes. And therefore, we go back to our supply chain, and it immediately manufactures 10 boxes. Now that should be stopped. We should be having a supply of not demand laid, but it should be demand designed supply, in a sense of whatever is manufactured is going to be used. That should be the guarantee, meaning that there should be no waste. Today we have so many buildings, so many products, so many services. They are useless. They are failing to be sold, used. And those resources are dead resources. At the same time, for example, just now, the example of Meta TV, or what you said, some good word was that.
Yes, the smart projectors.
Yes. Now, when that comes, I think, again, we will have ample of loss of the old TV and old sets and all other things. At the same time, because of the climate change, the displacement and the tragic, extreme scenarios are increasing, and they are impacting the section of the societies who are losing their resources, and they are with zero resources immediately, sometimes. And what is happening, that they do not have even the digital box or Wi-Fi or any other networking tool, internet tool, that they can connect to the society. They can come back to their they can have their livelihood and so on. So you can see two trends are going on. One is innovation for a lot of new things, and yes, that is great, but there is also some sort of parallel things are going on, which are getting disrupted by our humanity, this climate change and it impacting humanity and other things. So we have to be mindful of these two things, and then we have to have our innovation in a way that we can bring these people immediately into the society and their regular lifestyle. And we should be innovative the things that can last long for and can impact more number of people sustainably. So I will stop here. It's a bit complex answer, but I feel that it is not really easy to when we are focused on our own business and our own community, we lose sight of what is happening at the end, where real tragic things are happening, and we are not able to bring them in a normal lifestyle easily.
Yes, yeah. And
Okay,
I
so
will,
if I
yeah,
may just
yes, go ahead.
respond quickly.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
First of all, Dr. Renuka, I'm not a professor. My name is Ezekwesili Nnam. Okay, I work as the executive director of the Trade Center at the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So I prefer to be called a trader. And speaking of trade, you see, there's a line. There must be a way to properly balance and nuance sustainability and climate change conversations with a firm understanding of the fact that we are all not in the same place. And this is why several COPs have failed, whether it's 26, 27, because people who, for instance, who have had television for the past 50 years, they are trying to tell people in my village who have never seen television about how they should not have television. They will have to wait for sustainable material. That is not the issue here. So some of our members, traders, are struggling with bad roads. They are struggling with electricity. So their focus is different. In a heavily import-based economy, people are concerned about how to grow their businesses from where they are. From where they are. So it is not a Tesla struggling with mining lithium and you're talking about huge environmental impact. No, we're talking about, for instance, an importer who's trying to see how can I better deliver products to people in Africa, to people in Nigeria, and make some profits. And that is not to say this business is trying to do it with intention to destroy the whole environment. So it is even to bridge the gap that can bring people up to the basis upon which you can begin to talk about issues like environmental, social, and governance protocols. We are discussing distribution of rice, for instance. We are talking about the festivities are upon us. How can we truck 50 trucks of rice, 50 kg rice, to Abakaliki in the southeast of Nigeria from Kano State, having to deal with all the issues of insecurity, bad road, and a whole lot of that. So for us as a chamber, for instance, we're promoting hosted buyer programs. So for you to come for a trade fair from Dubai, from India, and then, or even from Lagos to Abuja, you get to buy flight tickets, stay in a hotel, and then if you're going to have assistants who will be in the booth with you, and in our case, it's a 12-day trade fair, it's a whole lot of movement. But this movement, the first consideration is not carbon emissions. No, it's not. The first consideration is how can this business, that would have spent 4 million naira, for instance, to attend the trade fair, how can this business spend, for instance, 500,000 and achieve the same aim? So a hosted buyer program will get the key people who are interested in specific products to use digital platforms to place orders and have the orders fulfilled. Where there is need for a sample, it is cheaper and more sustainable to send one sample or two samples to an interested buyer to look at, validate, and approve, as against moving, a whole team from Lagos or from India. So just for us to understand that there are two levels to it. I believe people who are in the West, it is more attractive for them, you know, to talk about ESG and things like that, and you know, understandably so. But you have to first of all audit the kinds of businesses that we have, and then begin to talk to those businesses from where they are. Otherwise, they're not going to listen to you. Otherwise, you do COP30 and it's the same conversation. It's the same conversation. So my members, for instance, are saying, we have hibiscus. How can we sustainably export these products to Mexico, for instance, so that we can feed our children, so that we can pay school fees? So those are the issues. Because in our chamber, we have the very big companies, the medium companies, but the majority are entrepreneurs. They are SMEs. And the core focus of the average SME is not ESG. You know, as much as with the benefits or with the wonderful work of some NGOs, the consciousness is there. You have a lot of people who are looking to try new materials, which have not worked perfectly because new materials come with new costs. But of course, by the time you go full circle, the cost can begin to, reduce. So what we are doing is to, as you said, Dr. Renuka, strike a balance, not to be completely profit focused, because if you go that route, eventually you will start dealing with very serious environmental issues. But to say why you're focusing on profit because of where your economy is, you need to also pay some attention to new solutions, creative solutions that can make the space better. And what that does is that adoption is easier. So when you have incentives that support the adoption, it's easier because the people are already incentivized, they're aware, and then it's very easy to pick up from there. I think I can stop.
I completely agree. Yes, I completely agree. And I come from Western country experience, but also I deal with Africans and like developing countries a lot. My whole work is focused on global South. And I come across this situation which you mentioned, that yes, we would like to look at environmental and so on, but what about our living? The first step is living, surviving, and then developing your business, and then you can think of environmental and so on. But what I am saying is, at the design stage, we need to start thinking about all these issues. And so, for example, when you are saying about, you mentioned about hibiscus, and I have come across one project like this of hibiscus, where people want to export. But what I said, that why cannot you partner with your local partners to see what different products you can bring from hibiscus? You can bring hibiscus oil, you can soap, and many other things. Like I'm just saying examples. And how then that community can absorb your products with interest? Why there is always a need to sell it in different market? Because in your own community, if you look at a very nearby community, in a sense of like if you are in a town, if you look into the vicinity of the district or province, like a larger area there, you will definitely have a larger organization and community project managers, community projects about biodiversity and so on. If we partner with all these people, if we include any enterprise into the educational system, large organization, like you become a supply chain of a large organization and so on, why we are not doing that, and why we are always going to the international market? Of course, international market is good, it is needed, but not so much that all the products needs to be go international market, and the local area doesn't get income out of that business. So the KPIs are like localization. You mentioned about the KPIs initial question, localization, community projects, biodiversity increase. Those are the things we have to put it into the design of our products. That is what I feel, and that can change our trajectory for and sustainability and innovation. And with the AI, we can definitely find all these solutions. And therefore, it is important that you pose some very good questions to AI in this way that, okay, tell me my local partners here whom I can partner, or tell me what are the byproducts of these product, or what are the uses of this waste. If we can use our AI for such things, then it will be more resourceful to us.
Okay.
Yeah, I think yes. Stays because I don't know. It's like both of you have taken over the session. My questions are not even, so I'm just allowing you. We've exhausted our time, but I think I will give each of you just final words, maybe in 2 minutes. And I think we can continue this conversation elsewhere. I know you do a lot of work and you travel a lot too, both of you. And I think I'm also seeing in the chat box other questions that are coming up. But yeah, I'll give you, I think, maybe 2-3 minutes of final words on this. What I see going on now is about that balance between demand, supply, profitability, and also environmental consciousness. And I think Mr. Ezekrisili has also, as you highlighted, every COP, as even in this COP29, there was a lot of back and forth on this, and then UNGA, UN SDG also the same thing goes back and forth. So that balance, but I think it's good to hear Dr. Renuka's also angle to say, okay, at the design stage, and I think this will take time. Most of our people are not, especially at the global south, where we are affected the most by all of this. We're not used to this, and we're pressed by other survival issues of food, making money, taking care of families and things like that. That I think is hopefully, I don't know where this solution will come gradually with time. It's not overnight because we're used to doing things a certain way. But yeah, let me just give you 2-3 minutes, maybe final words. It can be on this matter, but also just generally.
Okay, let me just start when you mentioned about the COP, and this is important. I am here in Riyadh today, and I'm here to attend COP 16 desertification. And recently I was in COP 16 biodiversity. Now, not only talking about COP, but I'm also talking about the culture and the perspective and the stereotype people are having. Okay, so when I was preparing to go to Cali, and when I mentioned my family members that I'm going to Cali, Colombia, everyone mentioned me that, oh, please take care. It is very risky area. There are people are very bad. I mean, they are. They will try to cheat you, or they will try to pickpocketing and many other things. And one of them said, oh, they will just come straight with a knife or pistol and you will be done. And so we were so terrified. And we went there, and it was totally different experience. Totally different experience. I have been to many, many countries, more than 85 countries, and I like Colombia the best. It was such a wonderful experience, so warm people, and so on. So now next year, when I came to Saudi, everyone said, oh, you don't need to worry. It's a very nice city, very nice area. There is never any theft and all that. Yes, I didn't had any sort of those experience, but I mean to say here that Africa and other countries are having some stereotype sensation in people, and there is a risk of investment. And so we need to change that basically, first of all. And when you spoke about the media, it is very right. Media has played a bad role. They can play a better role. And that is what I would definitely emphasize. Mark yourself, get your esteem back, make yourself proud of your country, proud of your land, wherever you are staying. So, and that can only bring the trust back. We want just the trust back, and that will bring all the investment is one thing only, but there is other areas, other things that needed for any business or any country to strive. And that is very needed by the business people. They can do it because they are really going out of the country and representing their country. So be mindful of that. And I think Africa is so much blessed with the tourism. And there's a lot of prosperity, I mean, better chances of tourism to grow there, and that can be done. However, coming to the desertification, what is that all the land mass is mainly used in a way that it is getting degraded at the moment. And therefore, we need to make sure that we put these all, sustainability ideas, knowing our climate, applications of AI to understand the climate change impact and so on, and how we can bring women empowerment, youth employment within the agriculture sector or land use sector, whatever it may be. There are plenty of different land use sector, agroforestry, green wall, and these are like tree planting and many other areas have been grown in Africa. I see every day the news of these things. And people need to make sure that they engage in a better activity than what they are doing. If they find that that is not helping them with survival also, and other areas like social and environmental, then change the activity. Be more brave to become an innovative person. I will stop here.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a lot actually, but very well fruitful and beneficial. Mr. Ezekwesili, same for you also. Final words on all of
Yes.
this.
First, I'd like to thank Dr. Renuka for the very insightful presentations that she has made. It's really wonderful. So I believe that, I mean, wherever I go, wherever I get the opportunity to speak, I emphasize the fact that even if we are no longer a set of inferior people. We are pretty confident and comfortable in our own skin, and we are able to tell our own stories. Therefore, you cannot posture this globalist or global compliance position at the expense of your own survival. It is not possible. I've worked with a lot of NGOs. There's something that comes out all the time. So we tested this electric tricycle program with some of our partners, and it's very effective. Because of our energy issues, it's very effective. So instead of during fuel scarcity trying to queue to get fuel for your keke or tuk-tuk, as it's called in some places, you can do some battery swap, and then that can get you around for the whole day, and then you charge overnight. You charge overnight, and then you continue. You do not have huge investments in such. You do not have a lot of programs and projects. Maybe you need to mute someone.
Yes, admin, if you can mute, please.
Yes. So, but the solutions that are practical, solutions that are creative, truly creative, our people embrace it. I agree totally with our president that gas is our energy transition fuel, and we cannot have a huge deposit of gas and then we abandon all of that and begin to depend on what we do not have control over. So having said that, the transition must be slow, it must be gradual, it must be with full understanding of where people are, per time. So for us in trade, we have seen that I mean, as you know, transportation is the huge backbone of trade, whether local trade or international trade. But then you do not also see the global giants, the global logistics giants leading the frauds, saying, okay, let's do this. I do not see DHL, UPS coming to say, let us do battery swap in Nigeria and things like that. So I like projects or positions that put the responsibility on us. We have to do what we can to better our processes, but we must do that in keeping with the local demands that we have, not an uncontrolled desire to satisfy foreign appetites. No, you have to first of all ask yourself, what are we dealing with in Nigeria? Dangote refinery is up and running. We believe that with time, that can give some comfort to our economy energy-wise. Then while we're doing that, we'll be tinkering and thinking about what to do with solar, what to do with inverter systems, what to do with AI. And before you can discuss AI, you have to have internet connectivity. So there's a whole lot of infrastructure that needs to be in place. There's a whole lot of foundations that needs to be in place before we can get into, the very fantastic, high-sounding options that they have in the West. So we do not have enough taxis before we begin to talk about driverless cars. So there's a gap. But I like what is also happening in this conversation, because that is the balance that needs to be struck. So we'll find a way to have a comfortable bridge between what's going on in the West and the realities we have at home, so that at the end of the day, like I said, we don't find ourselves in a situation where we say, oh, we're not affected by climate change. Oh, there's nothing like that. And eventually see yourself in a place where you are worse off. But while you're transitioning, you must put in front of you local realities. Thank you, Bello.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think we have over-exhausted this this topic, but I think for each and every one of you, if you can share where people will best meet you. I know LinkedIn is the most popular one, but any other way that they can engage with you and know more of this, your intel, whether in person or digitally, if you can please share. Dr. Renuka first, and then if there is a question.
Yeah, of course. I am always available on LinkedIn, and I will put my, I've put my already few details here. I have my GSFN, and everyone, it is free to join. So please join, everyone. I have put the link also, but I can put again. And one of the things I would like to just mention, because you are in trade, our another speaker is in trade, and we would like to discuss more about it, certainly. But main thing for tungsten, I want to say, is that this one event is not enough. Every day such events should happen, so that people can know, not only bringing speakers, but I think we are lack of leadership. We want everyone to take a leadership of thinking what I need to do now and how I need to transit. And if they start thinking in a way, stretch themselves beyond their, what they are doing now, then it would be great. The young people need to be challenged, and this is what you are challenging, and that is good. Let them do it, and this should happen more and more. Thank you.
Thank you. And LinkedIn is good for you. And then through your LinkedIn, other organizational platforms or digital platforms, people can access you, right, Dr. Renuka?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So, I mean, I'm a trader. You can always find me at the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Other details I can share with your team, and then they can circulate. I will be happy to connect with other people who are here on this platform to see what more we can do. And to also thank you, Bello, for putting this together. I agree totally with Dr. Renuka that it needs to be offered. We need to have, more conversations like this so that we can milk the best parts of these issues. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for both of you. That was Dr. Renuka Thakore, PhD, founder of Global Sustainable Futures Network, and Mr. Emeka Ezekwesili Nnam is the director in the Abuja Chambers of Commerce and Industry, representing also the DG of Abuja Chambers of Commerce and Industry. Thank you very much to both of you. And I think the links have been sent in the chat box on how to communicate and connect with you. So I encourage everyone to please do that. Thank you very much. Mr. Samuel Kojo Delko. He's a financial specialist with the World Bank and also the ECOWAS Regional Off-Grid Electricity Access Project. So welcome to both of you. I mean, if we can spotlight them and then we begin. Just like the other two panel sessions, we have about 5 questions, but I think if it's okay, Mr. Kojo, also, if I can prioritize the first initial questions for Dr. Kweranga, because I believe he's bereaved and he will need to step away in the next 10 minutes because he's lost somebody in the family and he's attending to a few visitors. So thank you very much for your understanding. Welcome, sir, Dr. Kweranga and Mr. Samuel Kojo. And unmute. Okay, yeah, you're about to be unmuted now.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much,
Thank you.
Dr. Bello. Nice being on this panel. I want to appreciate the good work that you have been doing. I look at the participants. So first of all, let me thank you for the good work that you are doing, and to say that for us in the finance industry, we are always looking for this type of innovations, to this type of program, so that at least we can be able to extend the small contributions we are making in the capital market. As you said, I'm the group chairman of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. I'm a stockbroker by profession, and I'm on the board of so many organizations, both quoted and unquoted companies on not only the Nigerian Stock Exchange, including the London Stock Exchange and the Joburg Stock Exchange. So it's nice to be here.
Yes, thank you. Welcome, sir. I'll go straight into your questions and then I'll come to Mr. Samuel Kojo also. I want to know in the beginning now, in terms of companies and organizations, we have so many entrepreneurs here and startup companies and etc. How can companies foster organizational cultures in order to prioritize sustainability, but also making sure that innovation and financial profitability is carried along basically for you as a leader?
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Bello. First of all, let me confess that I'm not a fintech expert, but I'm a capital market operator, and I happen to be a professional in that field. As you said, issue of innovations, organizations have to accept that we are in a digital age. As of today, so whatever the strategy, organizations have to tailor that toward achieving to fit and proper, where technology is in front and always at the center. This will entail having an innovation mindset, investing in technology and tech-savvy staff, and putting in place strong risk management practices. So organization will go a long way. I mean, I'll give you an example of recent. The Central Bank of Nigeria introduced what we call the new capital requirements for all our banks, where they increase the capitalization for different type of banks, both the ones that are regional, the other that are national, the other are international. Most of the banks, I can say 80% are quoted on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. In those days, when they are going to raise capital, and any other organization that is here, at least with us in this program, you would realize that we used to bring out so many documents when you are reading this, the prospectus, what we call the market document, you are used to package, and which requires that additional stock funding on those documentations, you start sharing. But the issue of the technology, what we did at Nigerian Stock Exchange, we introduced what we call X-Rail. It's a technology solution whereby organization will just key in at the comfort of your bed, in your office, while you are traveling, while you are even on board, that can be able to give you access directly, that you can be able to, through various platforms that we have, which is part of the innovations, which is part of the technology. So we raise trillions of capital of the organizations in the history of the Nigerian banking sector, and I think the Africa in general. What we did, this innovation, that technology that we brought goes a long way to reduce the paper documentations, to reduce the issue of deposit, to reduce the time that it will take. And it's through these innovations that we're able to do that. So when you look at Fair Money, when you look at this OPay, when you look at Money Point, these are all online banking, micro loans, and even the Piggy Vest that we are taking off. These are like advisory, robo-advisory services that in terms of the issue of the fintech, and that have transformed industries, like what you have said, and shake up the established traditional institutions that they talk that they are big, they are too big to fail, but innovation have shown. Today, when you look at the customers of OPay, can be able to compete with the biggest banks. So the issue of bricks and mortar, people have already left that. So technology, issue of thinking have looked a long way to add value to the all industries, both those that are quoted that just stock exchange and those that are not even quoted. And I believe I will use this opportunity to say that the era of having that mindset is already gone. When you look at the younger generations as of today, when you look at the organizations have already gone far, people have already not only imbibed the culture or the fintech, but they don't have option that to buy the ideas. Even the regulators, when we started talking of most of these investment outlets, that people felt that before that they don't want to participate into that. At the end of the people have realized that based on the regulators, the operators doesn't have option. These are all fintech, that innovations have already coming into our market. And even when you look at, sorry, I'm even trying to digress, the US government of today, when Trump just announced that he has won the election, you can see how those innovation, how those fintech solutions have already all gone up. So that's the future. That's the future of the industries. So organization doesn't have option than just to key into that digital age and tailor whatever investment, whatever strategy, whatever plans they have, so that they can fit in to the current world technology, and they have to make sure that these are the strong risk management practices are there, the service staff are there, and at the end of the day, it's going to be a win-win. Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And I think this is very, very powerful introduction that you've given, because as you said, it's not just in terms of managing efficiency of the bureaucracy within the financial sector and space, but it's also about building the next first banks, the next access banks and all that, using digital innovation that we're seeing now, especially in Africa. And I think with this now, let me move into and connect this to the enterprise panel that we had earlier. We're talking about sustainability in enterprise. And for this, I know that there's a lot of green money, so to speak, and eco-friendly money, sustainability money that exists around the world. We just had COP29, and we had UNGA also. They keep talking about so much financing that needs to go into sustainability and sustainability projects, basically. So for you, speaking to the entrepreneurs that exist here and also companies that we engage with, how do you think they can better position themselves to access this sustainable financing, but also in a way that it achieves the SDGs that we have as directed by the UN?
Okay, thank you very, very much, Doctor. I believe hundreds of entrepreneurs that are here and are even listening to us, I think this is a very good platform for them to start venturing into all those UN sustainability programs that can be able to give a lot of access of funding. Today, we have trillions of dollars that are lying down there, waiting for people to fulfill, organizations to fulfill all the requirements. When you look at the GoFund, I think the GoFundMe, which is one of the products, like is a crowdfunding, whereby organizations can be able to leverage on that so that they can start those type of ventures. In addition to that, when you are leveraging fintech as part of the benefit to assess like the younger generations that we are taking off, which are round-the-clock services, the wider reach that they have, and at the lower cost. You don't have option that to key in to all these UN ESG programs. Of recent, there is this hunger that maybe you have been trying to make reference to. We attended that younger. So many countries with the head of government were there, but there were a lot of entrepreneurs. We went with different people that what we did, like from the Nigeria Stock Exchange to key into the ESG. What we did, we purchased some organizations. We went with them to the hunger, and program has been attended so that at least, which was even chaired by the Deputy Secretary General of the UN, so that people can be able to assess and see how they can be able to at least leverage on all those financing options that has been already packaged all over the world. So the market utilization to this new approach has already gone a long way to say that technology plays a greater role in fostering the transparency, which is part of the requirement for the ESG, by removing human bias and inefficiencies. These are all new innovations that have already come in. So once, if the processes and procedures have been followed, once, if the system is correctly tested, the human element is being kept to the minimum. I think technology ensures that the data that you have are kept as long as they are needed. I think people can be able to assess those type of requirements of the ESG funding. They are there lined up. A lot of organizations are now already assessing those type of funding. And I think it's an opportunity for people that are participating into this to key in into all these let me say investment outlets that can be able to at least meet up to the requirements of the organizations. And I think once we have already keyed into that, it's just a matter of time. People can be able to see the success story. And that's one of the major objectives. That's why the UN is already pushing for that ESG, not only at the headquarters and at the various countries all over the world.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. And I think this is very much, you're hitting it on the head. We see that it's mostly governments and big corporations that access this funding. But what you're saying is that even all the way down to the MSME level, they can also key into those finances. Exactly. And I think
once the reporting standard for the ESG that you are packaging are comprises and are appropriate, and those requirements are easily adhered to, I think you can be able to access those type of fundings. And I believe for us, for the Nigerian organization that are here, we are even packaging something for the Nigerian Stock Exchange, and I believe we can partner with Tungsten so that all those organizations that are on board, so that we can be able to see how they can be able to access those type of fundings through the UN ESG programs.
Yes, exactly. Thank you very much, sir. And I think it's also for us, that's why even all the entrepreneurs, we make sure that they hit as many SDG goals as possible, and also pushing the ESG mantra, so to speak, gradually in all of their startups. And I think on that note, I know, as I said, you are bereaved, and I won't take much of your time. I think we can land here. Any final words that you have?
Well, for me, let me state that for the industries that are here, I believe we have reached a level whereby there is a lot of opportunities that is in the Nigerian capital market and the world in general. I think for you as a Tungsten, what I expect is this type of education, this type of training, this type of program, so that people can be able to see the benefit. From where I'm coming from, I've seen banks that were giving requirements to raise those capital, as I said at the beginning. Where we are thinking that before it's impossible. Within 2-3 months, no organization that have not raised oversubscribed even what they are looking for. So the funding are there, both locally and internationally. And I believe once businesses have mastered those strengths, that will be that they'll be able to access new funding sources and new market for their goods and services, and remain competitive and sustainable in the future. So once more, thank you very much for this opportunity. You can count on me any. What I intend to do is to discuss the issue of the digitalization of finance that is even influencing the regulatory framework, even to see how organizations can leverage such fintech innovations, and to make sure at the end of the day, people are keying into the program that you have set for today and what we can be able to do from the panel so that we can be able to at least and to encourage all to come on board so that we'll all be on the same level. The era of digitalization is here. You either key in or you are kicked out. It's just like a moving train. You either join or it's going to clear you. So it's an opportunity that we can target people like you. Today, when people look at you, Dr. Bello, as of today, with all humility, what we are able to achieve in bringing the type of people I've seen today on this program, that will go a long way. If we can have 5 or 10 of you, and this is the target from the Nigerian Stock Exchange, to catch them young, to make sure that at the end of the day, today we have a population like in Nigeria of over 220 million. We have investing public that are less than 200,000, which is totally unacceptable. And what we are trying to do is to see if we are even going to copy what are other countries doing that we are not doing, that we are not leveraging on that retail investor. And I believe industries will take a cue so that they can be able to see what are the products that we have that they can be able to assess and key in. And I think with this type of program, we can be able to at least come together so that we can work as a team, partner with some of those industries so that we can be able to, both of us add value to our various organizations. So once more, thank you very much for this opportunity. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate everybody that is listening. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you very much, sir. And that was very encouraging. This was Dr. Meuleman, the chairman of the Nigerian Stock Exchange Group, with many other things. His portfolio and profile is too big, so I won't be able to.
Thank you, Doctor.
So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, sir. And condolences also.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Have a nice day. Thank you very much, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. We'll proceed with Nnam Kojo. Thank you for being patient. We have about 2 more questions in the next few minutes. So welcome, Mr. Samuel Kojo. And for you, I know we talked about sustainability with the previous speaker, but in terms of impact investing, for instance, especially socially, how can organizations, from your experience, how can organizations access impact investors, basically, because they do exist around the world? And also, what do impact investors prioritize, or what do they look for in order to provide capital for such projects? Oh, sorry, you're about to be unmuted. Yes. Okay,
can you hear me?
Yes, welcome.
Okay,
sir.
thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to fellow panelists and also people joining. Just to also clarify that I do not work for the World Bank per se. I work on their project, and I'm an independent consultant, so I will not classify me as a staff there. Yeah, but of course we do interact with the World Bank officials every now and then, especially in the project reporting and stuff like that. Yeah. So to the question, how or what is impact investing and how could companies assess impact investors? So just by the name, or just like the name suggests, impact investors, they are really looking at the impact or the outcome of their investment. Of course, others also look at the financial returns. Okay, so there are different categories of impact investors. We have the development financial institutions or development organizations like the World Bank or the African Development Bank and all these development organizations. They are basically really looking at the impact only, but we have also commercial investors who are also into the impact space. They also look, apart from the impact investing they're also looking at the financial returns. Yeah. So basically that is what impact investing is looking at. But depending on the type of the investor or impact investor, they will place some kind of emphasis on this, other impact, environmental or social impact or financial returns. Okay, and you mentioned what do they look for? They are looking at their priority areas. So as an impact investor, what your priority area? Others could be education. Okay, so for example, they want people in deprived communities to be well educated. So they are looking at that. And then also they could be looking at social inclusion, gender inclusivity. Okay, so that could be their concentration or that could be their main focus. Others could be also looking at environment, healthcare, and what have you. Yes, so for companies to assess impact, in fact, there are several of them now, and they have a lot of funds available for impact investing. It is being estimated that around $1.2 trillion is available in the impact space for green and impact investing. But for companies to assess this, in fact, working with our current project, we are really trying to finance companies, SMEs, and medium-sized companies and big ones as well, to assess some kind of funding, if you like green funding, to be able to increase renewable energy, access to less privileged people or the marginalized people in the rural communities. Yes. So to be able to assess this funding, first of all, you need to align your operations to their key target areas. So, for example, if you're a company and you want to assess impact investors, then you have to clearly align your objectives. Are you really focused on education or the health sector, or social inclusion, or even renewable energy or environmental stuff? Okay, so if you clearly align that, then you are able to assess, or you are pre-qualified, so to speak. Because, for example, in our work or in our project, we periodically issue call for proposal for companies who are into solar. So I read a lot of proposals, from Nigeria, from Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Ghana, and I try to find out whether these proposals are in sync with our project objectives. That is, trying to reach the last mile community in clean, sustainable energy access. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that to be able to assess this type of funding, and like the previous speaker just mentioned, there are a lot of funds available now. However, these companies are not investment ready. The SMEs, especially, of course, the SMEs predominate, in Africa here, and these funds are available, but they are not investment ready. However, I'm saying that to get these monies, you need to align your operations to these objectives or these focus areas. Also, of course, you have to also, look at the team that you're working with, because for impact investors, or of course, any other investor, they really look at the team that you are really working with. Do they have the competence, skills to manage the fund? Do they have the relevant experience? Okay, so these are some of the things that these impact investors really look at when they are evaluating. And then, of course, if it's the investor is has a financial focus in terms of returns on equity, then they're looking at your financials, whether for the past few years or few months, or even for a projected number of years or months ahead, the project that you want to really undertake has some kind of investment returns. Yeah, so that would be my response to your question.
Yeah, thank you. And I think as you were speaking, I was trying to think back at the other panelists, and even Dr. Kwerenga, when he was talking about sustainability financing and all that. Is it right to align maybe impact investing with SDG investing? Am I right to think that way, or is there a mismatch, or to what extent do they align? Because most times when you hear impact investing, you think social impact and things like that. But maybe if you can help clarify.
Okay. Okay. So sustainable finance or sustainable investing is the bigger domain, trying to ensure the flow of funds to the sustainable goals. So the 17 SDGs and channeling funds that are consistent with this, the implementation or the achievement of these SDGs, we call that sustainable finance. Okay. The impact investor will take some few of them. I mentioned that he's saying that you're looking at the social and environmental. Okay. So not economic necessarily, but sustainable finance will include economic improvement or economic development. It also include environmental, also include social and stuff like that. Okay. So by impact investors are looking at the environment impact, how is the funding going to have a resultant impact on the environment? How is my funding going to have a resultant impact on the society? Okay, so impact investors really look at these two, items, if you like, and its impact, unlike a bigger sustainable finance, circles where you're looking about all the stuff. Okay, that really fulfills everything about the sustainable development goals. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a good clarification. Because sometimes as I said, for us, we try to make sure that there is positive impact, at least SDG wise, but also, as you said, the impact may not be quite SDG wise. That sustainability, financing, and investing is like the bigger one, and then there are more particular ones.
Exactly. Yes.
Yes. So my next question will be: I know we have just 7 minutes to go, but the next question will be on digital platforms. As we're saying now, well, as when you said, some of the access to those financing will have to be digital, or as Dr. Kwaranga said, on GoFundMe and platforms where you don't have to travel to go and meet those investors. So my question will be on how are digital platforms currently enhancing financial inclusion and also enabling access to sustainable investment opportunities from what you have seen so far? And maybe if at all, is there anything that can be done better? I wonder.
Thank you for this good question. So we know from traditional point of view that financing channeled through the banks, the brick and mortar approach, okay? And we also know, especially in Africa, when you're talking about brick and mortar banking, marginalized groups are largely excluded, okay?
Yeah.
But the sustainable finance, and we have a target of 2030 to meet. So by 2030, we're supposed to achieve all the goals, and we need the finance as a vehicle to take us there, but we need innovative ways. Okay, the finance is a vehicle or the fuel to pick us to the sustainable development goals. However, in what ways can we optimize these finances channels or financial channels? And that's where digitization come in. So digitization is really very critical in terms of the SDGs and even sustainable finance. So the intersection between finance, sustainability, and digitization, then we have the innovation, yeah? And without digitization, is going to be very difficult, especially for the marginalized group who don't have, usually don't have identity to accept, business identity or financial identity. You're talking about financial history, financial records to access funding. But the digital platforms like fintechs and blockchains are able to really disrupt this traditional approach or traditional models, okay? So that this marginalized group, which form the majority, in Africa, are able to access funding and also get financially included. For example, let's take mobile money. So mobile money in Africa, especially in Ghana and Nigeria and in Kenya and some part of Africa, has really, really done a lot of job, okay, facilitating receipt and payment of funding from my mother, grandmother in the village. You can receive money at the end of the month. I don't need to travel there. And when this thing is happening over time, you realize that she is building what you call banking history or financial history and digital identity at the same time. So for a space of 2 years or whatever, X amount of years, she now has a history. He has a bank account, so to speak, or mobile money account, and has financial records. And if he's doing some kind of a business, he can now go for funding. So these platforms are really, really changing the games here to really disrupt the traditional approach of funding. And without this platform, I'm afraid it is very, very difficult. Let's talk about even, for example, the renewable energy, where I am really doing a lot of stuff there for the solar companies. There are people in the last mile communities who don't have access to energy, and they don't have the means to buy energy. And we have the solar to them, and there is a financing model, pay-as-you-go model. The pay-as-you-go model, you are able to get the solar, device to this person in the village, a farmer in the village, and it is being powered by a fintech platform where he is able to buy, if you like, a credit of a sort to be able to access this light or to use this light. And at the end of the period, he's able to own the device him or herself. So without this type of platform, that fintech platform, the PayGo, as I'm mentioning, you may need to buy it or own it outright or upfront, which is very expensive for a marginal community or a marginal person to own a solar device. But with the PayGo, you are able to get this item or get a device and use it as and when you go. That's why I call it PayGo. So to sum it up, these platforms are very vital, and it really, these platforms speed up. If you like, these are the speed that is given to the achievement of sustainable development goals.
Thank you. And I think it's very interesting the way that you are applying this to where you are working. I mean, the projects you are focused on now in renewable energy, electricity, and stuff like that. And I think also for us, most of our audience, they're in different other industries. But one of the key things, I know we're about to end now, but if, as you are concluding, I think one of the interesting things, I think some of this audience of ours and even other people that have probably just met us or participated in this event is this impact investing or green money, so to speak, and all of that. Where is the best, or how best can one access it? Thompson is just one of them that we're rewarding entrepreneurs, but how best can one find these avenues or opportunities to access such financing for their projects or startups or even existing companies just around the world, but maybe if you are to be more specific in Africa, perhaps.
Okay. So first of all, like I mentioned, you need to align your operations with the SDG goals. And then also, you may also develop your own customized ESG framework or policies and set your own achievable goals. Okay. So for example, you can say that for gender inclusion, your staff, the people that you work with, you need to have about 50 or 30% of them being female or women, or 20% of them being people with disability. That is you are fulfilled as one part of the social inclusive aspect. Yeah. And then another way you can do so is to scout the market to find out, because like we mentioned, there are a lot of them on the internet. Okay, you just type any green finance or ESG funding available, and we have even some kind of they call it robo advisors online that is able to give you what type of green or ESG funds that are available here or there, and gives you all the permutations and stuff like that. Yes, so first of all, align your operations, develop your ESG framework yourself, and then also have a competent team, people who are serious or appear to be serious, okay? Because, for example, for the project I work on, when we receive this proposal, we do what we call due diligence. For last week and 2 hours in Abuja, we do due diligence, we meet the team that you have proposed, and we interact with them. Do they have necessary skill and competence to receive the funding you are requesting for? This is very, very important, okay? And then also stay informed about the trending issues or the trending news in the sustainable finance or the ESG funding industry, leveraging technology or leveraging the internet, okay? So when you follow the LinkedIn, Facebook, you get some of these things, splash over there, and you have to just check it out and see how you can, apply one or two, and you are good to go. There are a lot of money there now, but companies are not ready to receive them.
Yeah, this is very, very insightful. And I don't know if you noticed, indirectly, you did hit on all the topics of today. You hit on competencies and skills, which is education. You hit on the enterprise itself, which is one of the pillars for today. You hit on channels of communication and finding those opportunities digitally online, which is the media side. And then, of course, we talked about the actual finances. So it's interesting how indirectly you've hit all the pillars that we talked about today to sum it up. And I think on that note, we are going to conclude, but any final words, maybe how people can know more about the work that you do, the projects that you pursue, and all that, maybe collaboration-wise and etc. But any final words also that you have in the next 2 minutes.
Okay, so I would say that companies or young people who now spend a lot of time on the internet have a lot of opportunity now, because of the SDG and the role digitization is playing. Okay, so if you have a bundle of for internet, don't only use it on TikTok for entertainment only, which is good, just to at least ease some kind of tension. But you can use it productively. Okay, you can use it productively to assess several information, including funding, also receive some kind of education or training, even like the program you're organizing, and you can make good use of it. And within some few years ahead of you, you can really make, because in Africa these days, a lot of the youth really want to do something, they want to achieve, want to be prominent people in the society. However, most times they want it a short way. But I think we are in the age where digitization has placed in your hand a very big tool, okay? And you can sit at the comfort of your home and still make good amount of money, or naira, or whatever you call it, and you got good to go. For a project, we are looking at young entrepreneurs who are really trying to invest in renewable energy, solar technologies, so that people that don't have access to electricity in rural Nigeria, they are able to access that. And we issue grants in the ranges of $10,000 to $250,000 to these companies who have innovative solar ideas, and we support them from startup to the growth stage. We support them also with training so that they are able to extend renewable energy, solar energy, to this last mile community. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. And I think for any of this conversation beyond this platform now, or more information, I think you are most active maybe on the LinkedIn, and maybe through that LinkedIn page, admin, if we can post it in the chat box, and then maybe other websites for your projects and your ventures, so that people can know more about what you're doing, but also continue the conversation off here. So thank you very much, Mr. Samuel Kojo Delpo. He's a financial specialist / consultant, and also working on the ECOWAS Regional Off-Grid Electricity Access Project. Thank you very much for being here. And on that note, we've reached the end of all panel discussions for the day on the topic of education, enterprise, media, finance, but also all of it, we had to bring an angle of technology and also an angle of sustainability into it to make it wholesome. We're in the first panel of the day on education. And for this, we're going to, the main key topic for education is on tech-enabled learning for global challenges. And for this, we're exploring bridging education and sustainable development in education. I have two panel members, Ms. Rukaya Salman and Dr. Lukman Raimi. Ms. Rukaya Salman is more within the basic education space, and Dr. Lukman is more within the higher education space. Ms. Rukaya Salman, she is the Dean and Director of Herza College, and she's also the founder of the the educators community. Then we have Dr. Lukman Raimi, PhD. He's the Assistant Professor of Entrepreneurship from the Business School of Economics in University of Brunei, Darussalam. Welcome, Ms. Rukaya, and welcome, Dr. Raimi.
Yes, hello. How are you doing, Mr. Bello?
Yes. Good. Welcome. And Dr. Lukman, welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Yes. Hello, Dr. Lukman. How are you?
Hello. How are you? It's my pleasure.
And yes, same here.
Yes. Thank you. So I've queued up 5 questions, and I think there will be a 10-minute segment where questions and answers come in. So the first question I'll ask is on the emergence, as you know, it was the emergence of artificial intelligence, virtual reality, augmented reality, and also just digital collaboration platforms. So for you, in all of your experiences and where you operate, what are some of the most effective applications that you have seen with the use of AI, virtual reality, and augmented reality. Maybe you
Yeah.
can.
Sure.
Yes.
Thank you so much for giving me a chance to speak about this and the kind introduction. So, I mean, AI, I think is like, is an amazing like tool for like, especially third world country like ours, like I'm from Pakistan. So it has made, I feel, education more accessible because it's personalizing learning experiences through adaptive learning platforms. And recently, I even did a training course on AI tools, and I can share some of the tools that we like told our participants about, and they used it, and they had great feedback. Like this audience was mostly teachers, but I'm sure everybody else can find value in it. But anybody who's in education would love these tools. Like Magic School was one of them. Suno, which allows you to make videos for students with different, differently able learners learn differently. So you can make customized videos. There's InVideo, there's Otter. That's very good. It records all your meetings. Then there's Canva for presentations. There's Diffit for research. And obviously, ChatGPT and Gemini are there, but ChatGPT also has a lot of functions that people don't know about. And Copilot is another one. So we had a very good session on all these tools, and the teachers used them for 2 weeks, and they said that they are really helpful, though they have their paid versions also. But even the free versions of these tools have made the life of teachers and educationalists a little easier because, I mean, this is a profession where it's usually, people are burnt out and overworked, right? Because every student is different, every school is different. So I think the adaptation of AI tools will only help us and help us personalize the learning for our students.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the applications of it, I think recently in a school, we try to encourage the use of AI. As you said, it helps with efficiency and some of the mundane tasks that we do, like lesson planning and things like that. So the same question for you, Dr. Lukman, especially for you at the tertiary level now. How have you seen the effective use of these technologies like AI, virtual reality, augmented reality?
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me. As rightly explained by Rokaya, artificial intelligence in the higher education space has been transformative in so many respects. The simplest one is the AI-enabled ChatGPT, which has actually revolutionized how we teach, how we learn, how we do so many things. Both the paid version and the free version have been, transformative. For instance, students can use it as guide for their assignment, not really to write for them, because if you use it to write your essay, of course, we have AI detection that is going to really penalize you for using AI to write exclusively, but you can use it as guide. Also, if you are writing your own human, approach to writing, which is creative, the grammatical check, you can use, AI ChatGPT to clean up the grammatical error. But more importantly, recently, I taught lecturers and my students how to use paid version of ChatGPT for statistical analysis and also financial analysis. And 3 months ago, I actually used it to teach professor in Nigerian University under Nigeria Society of Chemical Engineering on how to prepare business plan and also business model canvas. Once you have your basic information, you use it as a prompt, and it's going to generate all the things you want and prepare detailed report for you, which you can own anywhere. That is one. The other one, for some of our students who are in the technical area, who lack experience on some of the state-of-the-art technology, you can actually use augmented reality, to improvise for things you don't have in your university, And for those who want to learn more, who want to be, immersed in the real world, but they are not privileged to be immersed in the real world, you can actually use virtual reality. In Malaysia, recently, I took my kids there, And then we wore a particular, glass that took us to space. We actually interacting, with the space as if we are there. There was another one to experience what marine animal, what they pass through in terms of pollution and environmental degradation, as if we are in that particular ecosystem. So that is the power of virtual reality and augmented reality. At the end of the day, if you ask students, write your reflective essay, they are going to write fantastic reports, better than before the emergence of these particular tools. These are things I want to say for now. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Nnam. Very interesting, actually. And I like the first point you mentioned, that even on assessment, it's good to use AI to detect AI-created work, so to speak.
Exactly, yeah.
Exactly. And so my next question will be on strategies and digital resources that you have seen, maybe that have proven effective in integrating sustainability and project-based learning, because this is something that we advocate a lot in Tungsten. So for you, what have you seen in terms of those resources and strategies, especially in terms of approaches to sustainability, as I said, and project-based learning into curricula across all the different levels of education? So I think maybe for you, Renuka, maybe at the levels that you focus on, secondary, primary, and then below. Then for you, Dr. Meuleman, the tertiary and post-tertiary. So, Renuka?
Okay, so as far as project-based learning approaches is concerned, I'm a big fan of that because again, my second course is on that only. And to find out more about it, I'll want to mention that I did courses from PBL Works. It's a US-based organization. They have brilliant resources on project-based learning. They have books, and you can use that course to replicate like a training in your school and teach your primary and middle school students. And I've tried that as well with teachers who teach from grade 1 all the way up to grade 10. So, why? I mean, so it helps, it gives a lot of clarity on what actually project-based learning is and how it's different from others. And it's very good for leaders to, develop those kind of skills, because for the kids of today, project-based learning is the way. They have to mix subjects. They're in real world, they're not going to do English separately and maths separately, right? There's going to be a project and they will have to apply all their knowledge and different subject knowledge for that project, right? And that's exactly what project-based learning does. It tells teachers how to have like one theme across different subjects and create something that is very real and raw, right? And that kind of helps you in creating a PBL type of culture, because if this is something that is not being done in schools, then there's a lot of resistance to it also, because designing a PBL project is not easy. It takes up time. It requires 10 different subject teachers to come together and work on something. Then kids have to give extra time to it. So if you have that culture of being engaged in PBL activities, then there is less resistance. That's why I think it's very important to introduce PBL at a very early age, because if you look at the evaluation metrics, I mean, it's not very easy to quantify it, but there are lots of benefits, right? In the way students understand things and how you can bring it all together. So I think this is something that should become mandatory in schools, but obviously there is a catch. It has to be done really properly, because PBL can be ruined if it's not, done the way it's supposed to be done. So I think as far as primary, middle, and high school is concerned, it should become like, it should be part of the curriculum like any other subject.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Okay, I actually have seen it also in practice. And for you also, Dr. Meuleman, the higher education, so tertiary and post-tertiary, the same question, sustainability, project-based learning. How have you seen it in terms of application of,
looking at the higher education sector, project-based learning has been a very important best practice in higher institution for a very long time. It is done in management, technology, sciences, among others. But integrating sustainability to it is a recent development. In my own university, the first thing we did was to set up a unit under the Office of Vice Chancellor, anchored by Assistant Vice Chancellor, on innovation and sustainability. So the mandate of that particular office is to introduce sustainability to all courses in the university. whether medicine, health sciences, among others. The reason is that the United Nations has actually conceptualized the problem of the world, and they came up with what is called Sustainable Development Goals. They are 17. So in all the faculties and the departments in the university, everybody is, sensitized to recognize this particular fact. So whenever you are given a project to do, whether in engineering, in agriculture, at the end of the day, you need to tell us which of the 7 sustainable development goals have you actually supported? Because you can't solve the problem, but your project can speak to them. So also in the business school, is part of the mandate given by AACSB. It is called thought leadership. Which of the goals are your research, speaking to? Which of the goals are your teaching actually promoting? So in my own field, which is entrepreneurship, now we teach students green entrepreneurship. Yeah. And also United Nations, UNDP has actually developed a free online course on green entrepreneurship. So you learn how to develop not just business model, sustainable business model canvas. A typical business model canvas has 9 parts, but sustainable business model canvas has 11. You have to incorporate social and environmental cost and social and environmental benefit. Once you're able to incorporate that into your business model canvas, then it becomes sustainable and, of course, project-based. And also, another very important course that we have designed in my own school is social entrepreneurship by design. It is taught in class and also outside the class. We take people to the community, look for the headache, look for the problem of the community, then use design thinking to empathize and provide prototype that eventually solve that particular problem. So you have done 2 things, project and also sustainability.
Yeah, I think this actually resonates well with even what Ruka said earlier, which is that yes, you are building projects, but part of the key metrics of performance has to hit as many of the SDGs as possible.
Exactly.
We are able to see how all of this can be institutionalized.
Interestingly, if you publish in my school, they will ask you, yes, you have published something on mathematics, which of the goals have you actually speak to? If you are not able to answer them, it means your research is not really sustainable.
Yeah, indeed, sir. And I think also it would be good to know at this point whether, as Ruka also highlighted earlier, we are usually termed as the global south, and most of our experiences is in places like Africa, Pakistan, India, and places like that. So how have you seen maybe ways in which technology can break down barriers that such places face in terms of barriers to education, especially on the South communities? What have you seen in terms of the use of technology in that? Yeah.
Of course. So as you know, I mean, Pakistan has many underserved communities, right? At least the cities have proper schools like Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, but many of the towns and villages, they don't even have access to, proper schooling system. So I feel like these e-learning platforms, maybe you've heard of Khan Academy, and even if somebody has, access to Coursera, you can make free accounts and get affordable, high quality courses. But Khan Academy has many other options that are localized as well. And then we have, companies coming up like Taleemabad, who are providing curriculum-aligned digital lessons in the local language, Urdu, as well. So they convert everything, right? And digital classrooms like Learn Smart Pakistan. So if you have decent internet connectivity, even if you don't have 4G, because in these towns and villages, sometimes you have 2G and 3G, then also through the phone and, satellite, you can access teleschools, you can access programs like Taleemabad, Learn Smart, and really benefit. So a lot of students can be homeschooled as well. And even it doesn't have to be students, even older generations who've not had the chance to get educated earlier now have access to internet and these internet tools and can, get educated, because now you can get these low cost devices and mobiles also. So it's very good for these marginalized groups who didn't have access earlier. So not only is it good for the younger generation, it's also good for the older generation who now wants to learn the skill and get education. Like there are very conservative communities who don't allow girls to get out of the house, right, and go and work somewhere. I'm talking about the really marginalized and conservative communities in some parts of Pakistan. So they can also make use of all these tools and and you see previously what was happening, that Coursera and all were in English, but the good thing is that now so many more edtech companies are coming up which are converting the content to our local languages, which I think is brilliant, because that was another problem that they were facing, that everything was in English, and even though they had access to Coursera, but they couldn't understand everything. So I think these tools have really, and some of these companies which are being supported by the government and have received funding from international agencies are really helping with personalized learning, which we really needed as a country because of our social and demographic factors. We have an institute like Sabak that enhances the teachers' capabilities. So it's great that these kind of companies, edtech companies, are getting the funding through which we can solve a lot of our problems.
Yeah, indeed. And I think I like the part that you said on adult education. We forget them sometimes and their access also. Same for you, Dr. Lukman. What you have said in terms of underserved communities, but use of technology to reach those audience.
Yeah, technology has been very, very helpful in reaching undeserved and neglected community, which we call in entrepreneurship, people living at the bottom of the pyramid. They are actually marginalized, excluded, of course, disenfranchised. But leveraging technology has been very, very powerful. For instance, in some communities where they don't have electricity, access to internet, there's radio. Just buy a small radio and you start getting quality education. Some people provide, mass education, English education on radio, and that is technology. Another one is, even if you don't have much credits, the little credit you have, you can actually download educational material on YouTube, on trigonometry, on mathematics. Once you download it on your phone, then you can now read them to improvise for what you don't have. That is number 2. Another 3 is that UNESCO has also developed an initiative called Open Education Resources. Most of the quality books that you cannot afford, some lecturers have volunteered to develop handout, very rich, and they submit it under Open Education Resource. It is free. You can get it and use it. And those of us who are lecturers too, we are on LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn, you put all your notes, your e-textbook and other things, so people can private chat you, your student, and you give them access with warning that don't violate copyright, provision. And more importantly too, there are some free online, courses that is going to empower you. Things you are going to get in MIT, you can get it on those platforms. And Rukaya mentioned one, which is the Khan Academy. I've actually read a number of their material. Another very good one is Philanthropy University. You are going to get 3 things. 1, you get the material, including the video, free. You get certification, then you learn and you'll be examined. You're not just learning, you are going to be examined and you see the pace of your development. If you pass, they will issue you a certificate, which can also boost your competency. And finally, too, top class university like MIT has also developed what we can call free resources for both lecturers and learners. Some very important material, PowerPoint and what have you, in machine language, in AI, in management, and so many areas of specialization You can actually, including cases, you can download cases. And another one that people often neglect, which is very easy, is your ChatGPT. Just give your ChatGPT instruction that I want summary of a particular case that I cannot afford, or a particular book. Is going to give you the summary. And that is what is called micro-learning. You learn, at your own pace, cheaper, better, and of course, in a very simplified manner.
Yeah, I think in a little bit, I'll come back to this question a bit. I have another angle to it, but I know that we have just 8 minutes left and there are Q&As being lined up now. So my next focus, question-wise, will be in terms of, I know, Ruka, earlier you mentioned that even with PBL, it's important to do cross-disciplinary integration. But also now I want to talk about cross-sector partnership in terms of advancing technology and all of these things we're talking about in education. How important is that? And also maybe if you can give example of how practical it is from your experience.
So I think COVID really led to everyone thinking about these collaborations even more, right? Because before that, the government was not so big on these kind of collaborations. But then there were many initiatives which now tie the government and the private sector together to have some impact. And one of these, which came about in COVID only, were the Tele-School initiative. So this was a collaboration between the government of Pakistan and the EdTech providers, and it leveraged television and online platforms to deliver lessons to millions of students. What had never happened before was that the television was never broadcasting it, right? It was like, okay, you log it, because what happens is everybody watches TV. So, by default, you find out about it. So I think broadcasting these, programs on television and opening up channels for this was an excellent initiative, and it's still going on. And another one were taken up by a knowledge platform where public and private schools share curriculum, and Care Foundation also, offers low-cost digital solutions. So I've seen that after COVID, a lot of these different initiatives have come together, and that is really helping. When the government starts supporting it, that's where, the real work starts, I feel. Because then you are reaching out to the masses through national sources, right? Like televisions, etc.
Yes, exactly. And government is always a key partner or player in terms of any partnership that will exist. And same for you, Dr. Meuleman, in terms of cross-sectoral partnerships.
Regarding cross-sectoral partnership in Southeast Asia, it's been very robust and, of course, impactful. Currently, we are what is called the industry talk in my own university. And 2 weeks ago, we brought the MD of Shell to speak on corporate social responsibility and CSR. The way it's done, not in theory, how it is done in Shell. That is one way. Another one is what is called the town gown. We invite those in the private sector, which is the town, and those of us in the university, the ground, to discuss, contemporary issues, and we arrive at a decision. On the issue of ChatGPT, our accountants are really afraid because it's going to take job away from them. I can prepare my account, audit, and everything using, certain formula and some code. So we actually brought accountants and also lecturers teaching account to discuss this issue. At the end of the day, they came up with a sort of solution that AI cannot take away our job. It rather make our job simpler, better, what have you. So this type of discussion is cross-sectional. Another one is in the area of solving problem. I mentioned earlier on that university cannot solve problem because it's established to teach students. But if you go to the community and do what is called co-creation, we discuss with the community, what are your problems? We understand their problem, and we then build a business model and a prototype, which, of course, if it is bankable, then we sell it to the industry to invest. So there will be mutually beneficial relationship. We solve the problem, private sector make money, and also we also own that particular patent or credit for solving that particular problem. And more importantly, too, we also do what is called overseas field trip, internship, among others.
Yeah, it would be interesting to know, do you, in terms of doing this partnership, just quickly, Dr. Meuleman, is there, you have to sign agreements with these partners and these communities so that
some requires just a memorandum of understanding. Once it doesn't involve money and commitment, but the ones that involve commitment will require MOU. For instance, we just set up IEED, that is Industry Engagement and Entrepreneurship Development. Here, banks provide funds for business plan competition, and for some of our prototype that are ready to be moved to commercialization, there's a need for MOU. Yeah.
Okay, I understand. I think I have just one more question in the next 3 minutes as we round up, which is in terms of methodology. Of course, as we're doing all of this technology use in education, we need to make sure it's effective and show impact and results. So how have you seen, or what methodologies have you seen that are effective in order to assess the effectiveness, so to speak, of technology-enhanced learning initiatives in education? Okay.
Okay. Sorry,
Yes.
so I thought that was for sir, but yes, as far as the effectiveness is concerned, I think it differs from country to country because obviously, you can have different kind of approaches, like you can have a mixed methods approach. You can have like pre and post intervention analysis, like, what was happening before and what's happening now. But I feel like for our country, like the qualitative analysis are better than quantitative because the impact is not that easy to measure because we don't have accessibility to all these different areas where the impact is being seen, right? So I think for us as a country, it will take much longer to measure the impact, but obviously the few surveys that have been done, which I have access to, there has been a difference. But accessibility becomes a problem to measure the impact properly. But I think, again, AI-driven tools will help if we have better accessibility.
Yeah. Okay. And yes, for you too, Dr. Lukman, in terms of
because my university is AACSB accredited, issue of evaluation and monitoring is really very important. So according to the AACSB, every university, every semester, whether soft technology or technology, there's a need for evaluation. And that evaluation takes the form of 360 degrees. One, there should be student evaluation. Have you actually gained? Have you learned? So there's a method called assurance of learning, AOL. It is compulsory every semester. You look at the anticipated standard and the outcome. Is there a divergence or convergence? It must be explained. Then the second one is every lecturer too has what is called learning objective. So at the end of the semester, there's a need for survey, end of the course survey. A lecturer is to do it. Then the university itself will also do what is called student feedback for every lecturer in terms of the lecturer, the tools, the technology, how adequate. This is very, very important. And more importantly too, for activities that we have carried out in the host community through our community service, our social entrepreneurship by design, the best method for evaluation, of course, is the feedback from the users, the community. You ask either qualitatively or quantitatively, do they like this? At the end of the day, you go back and analyze, then you fill the vacuum. So that is what I can say for now.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you, Rukaya. Right on time. We are at the end of the session, and I think both of you are normally active very much on LinkedIn, and you all have your individual websites for your businesses and your organizations. I don't know, any other way to communicate with you for some of these insights by the audience, and also if the conversation can continue after today, you can quickly just mention now, and I think our team will also, if you can, admin, please, if you can put in the LinkedIn page of Rukaya and also enterprises and organizations, as well as Dr. Lukman. So Rukaya, your final words, Rukaya, as we go. Yes.
Sorry, I lost the internet connection for a while. Can you repeat the question if that's okay?
Yeah. Yes, just final words as you go now. We are at the end of the session. Maybe reaching out to you, your website, LinkedIn.
Yes, so I mean, I would love to thank Tongston for inviting me again. It's been great knowing Mr. Bello. He's also part of my advisory board of this educators community that I'm running. So really thankful to you for maintaining and solidifying the connection that we share. And I hope such conferences and talks continue to happen, because not only are they good for us because we learn from others, but there's so many more people who benefit with diverse perspectives. So, Mr. Bello, you're doing great work, and please keep it up. We're very happy with this initiative.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Lukman, final words?
Yeah, for me, I want to tell the learning community that they should not be scared of technology. AI is human development. It's part of the innovation we develop. So we should see AI and other disruptive technology as simply enablers. If you're a great teacher and you use technology, it makes your teaching more effective and better. If you're a researcher, a great researcher, and you use technology as an enabler, it makes you better. So people should not see technology as a tool that has come to take away your job. No, it has come to enhance what you are doing. So we shouldn't be afraid of technology because we produce technology. That's my personal word. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. Very well said, sir. And both Ruka Salman and Dr. Lukman Raimi on LinkedIn. And through their LinkedIn page, you'll see all of the enterprises and organizations in case if you have more questions and etc. for them. So thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Madam Ruka. And I guess we'll continue the conversation elsewhere. Thank you very much.